I am so glad that you're interested in a little conversation about mentoring because it is a life-changing experience for the person, the mentee who receives the mentoring, and for the mentor as well. And I'm hoping that you picked this particular topic because you've already had a positive experience being mentored by somebody who recognized your talent, who encouraged you, who appreciated what was unique about you, shared a skill, helped you learn a new ability of some sort. And because of that positive experience, you're thinking, I would like to be on the other side of the equation. I would like to be the person who mentors. It is an amazing journey. It will teach you a lot about other people and about yourself. And so I'm going to walk you through a few questions, a few pointers that will help you explore, is this a challenge that would make a difference in my life to mentor someone, to share what I know and the experiences that I've had and pay attention to somebody else for a while. So I went exploring for quotes from famous people who had had experiences of being mentored, and I wanted to share a couple of them with you. I think they kind of help us frame what mentoring can be in somebody's life. The first one comes from Maya Angelou. I hope that you love her as much as I do. She says, in order to be a mentor and an effective one must care. You must care. You don't have to know how many square miles are in Idaho. You don't need to know what is the chemical makeup of chemistry or of blood or water. Know what you know and care about the person. Care about what you know and care about the person that you're sharing it with. The next quote comes from Steven Spielberg. We've all benefited from his amazing creativity. And here's what he says about mentoring. He says, the delicate balance of mentoring someone is not creating them in your own image, but giving them the opportunity to create themselves. That's a good reminder. And last, but certainly not least, Joe Jonas says this about mentoring. A lot of people put pressure on themselves and think it will be way too hard for them to live out their dreams. Mentors are there to say, look, it's not that tough. It's not as hard as you think. Here are some guidelines and things I've gone through to get to where I am in my career. So those are three very different perspectives on mentoring, but they talk about the ability to build a relationship, to care deeply about somebody else, to share what you know in a generous way, to encourage someone, to help them imagine the possibilities ahead for them. And all of those are really positive experiences. They are positive experiences in the church and outside the church. And I hope part of your leadership will be leaning into what you can learn by deciding to be a mentor. I can think of lots of mentoring experiences that I had as I was growing up, lots of blessings I got from somebody being interested in me, somebody who had a skill that I was interested in, whether that was band or theater or the high school newspaper, whatever it was. I can think of how those people set me on a path that had a lot to do with my professional life, my career, my call to ministry. I hope that you've got those experiences to draw from, because the best mentors are people who already had a good mentor in their lives. So let's talk for just a minute before we talk about tips for mentoring. Let's sort of assess where you are and why you think you might want to engage in a mentor project. Before we begin talking about the relationship, here are the questions you need to ask. It's very important to examine your expectations and to be really honest about what you think you're going to accomplish. Is this idea of being a mentor about your ego, Or do you really want to encourage and support somebody else? It's not just about getting free labor on a project that's your pet project. It's about a relationship. And if you can be honest enough to unpack what your motivation is, that's very important to making this decision. Question number 2, are you willing to invest the time it's going to take to get to know this person? There's no shortcut to really knowing someone and being able to discover what's special about them and how you can encourage them. It takes time. Do you have that time to devote? And the third question is, are you willing to be surprised along the way as you discover some hidden talents in this person? Perhaps you have it all mapped out what this person's abilities are and how you're going to coach them and encourage them, and it turns out they're not exactly who you thought they were, and there's some other talents that need to be encouraged, some other things that need to be supported along the way. So just because you think you've sized it up, are you willing to be surprised by this person that you're going to get to know? So if you've unpacked your expectations, if you need to journal around this perhaps and think about the person that you might like to mentor and what you're expecting to get out of it, be really honest. Then let's look at what it takes to be a good mentor. 4 steps. This isn't complicated. It does mean that you need to be honest. It does mean that you need to invest your time, but let's look at those 4 steps. And the first one is that you need to commit to be a friend in all the ways that word works. Being a friend means that you're going to build a relationship that's grounded in trust, the trust between the two of you. That you're going to offer words of praise and encouragement, that you're going to be a positive source in that person's life, that you're going to commit to discovering what is unique and amazing about the person you are mentoring, and that you're going to have the time and the inclination to just enjoy being together. Having fun is part of that. So being a friend is a pretty honest relationship. The willingness, you making yourself available to really build a friendship, is how it starts. Not much mentoring happens in the absence of friendship. So building trust, all the ways you've learned already in your life to be in relationship, to build friendship, that's part of the mentoring relationship as well. The first step then is to be a friend. Step number 2 for mentors is realistic goals and expectations. You and the person you're going to mentor are going to sit down and plan what you hope to accomplish with that relationship and put some specifics around it. Here's 3 things to remember. It takes grace to manage the ups and the downs in any mentor relationship. There will be times you spend together that feel so satisfying, and you can see the progress you're making, and you can watch this person bloom in front of you. Then there will be times you spend together that felt like a total waste of time. It seemed like you're going backwards instead of forwards with the relationship. And it's an up and down cycle, just like any other relationship in your life. So that takes some grace to allow for good times and bad times, and keep your commitment to encouraging the life of this person. It also means that you've got to be realistic about letting the relationship grow. You don't immediately connect with somebody and know them inside out and know how to encourage them and be effective with them. It takes some time and some patience, and you allow the relationship to grow, and you allow your expectations to kind of wait until the relationship is where it needs to be, strong and productive. And the third thing to focus on is positive, always focusing on the positive things that are happening in the relationship. You need the ability to thank God for the positive things that are happening, to recognize them, to not focus on so much what isn't exactly as you wished it would be. But you set the positive tone. You become the encourager by paying attention to what's working well and knowing that the relationship is going to come along if you hang in there with positive outlook, with the grace that is allowing for ups and downs, good times and bads, and with the patience that you're going to need to let the relationship grow. Number 2, have realistic goals and expectations. Number 3, you need to listen. There is no greater gift in the world than really listening to another human. And your ability to be the kind of mentor you want to be is so connected with your willingness to open your mind, to open your heart, and to listen to what this person has to say. Listening not just for what they're sharing, but what's between the lines, and as you begin to know them better, listening for where this person's heart is and how you can be a source of encouragement. Set aside your problems while you're with the person you're mentoring and totally focus on them. There are times as a strong relationship is growing that we may be tended to change places and to expect the person we're mentoring to listen to what's going on in our lives. But you're really creating this space while you're a mentor for listening to the life of somebody else, for being attentive, for being focused, not distracted but by whatever happened before the mentoring appointment. That you're all in around this person, what makes this person tick, how you can find the right words to encourage and support this person. That's all about listening and making yourself available. It's a good practice for any relationship. And you're asking questions. You're doing a kind of active listening where you're not only hearing what this person has to tell you, but asking the kind of questions that will provide some more information and that will demonstrate that you're listening. So the listening part of a mentoring relationship is so important. If you've had a great mentor in your life already, then you know that a piece of what you loved about that person was that they heard you, that they paid attention to what you said, that they thought what you were talking about was important, and there was eye contact, and there were follow-up questions because they were eager to know you better. If you've had that experience, then you know how to duplicate that experience and make yourself the good listener that you need to be as you are mentoring someone, encouraging them, getting to know them, building that relationship. And then finally, number 4, setting a good example as a mentor. You need to be the person who honors the commitment, who's there on time when you've set up a time to be together, not making excuses, not canceling at the last minute, that you're consistent, that you're reliable, that your word is something that person you're mentoring can count on, that you're remembering commitments you made, you're honoring those along the way, that you can be trusted, that you demonstrate you are trustworthy and you can be counted on, and that you don't begin a mentoring relationship if you have any doubts about whether or not you can commit to the relationship. I know this seems like it's coming towards the end, but it's one more reason to be really honest with yourself as you move into a mentoring relationship about your own expectations and your ability to commit your time, to commit your energy, to commit yourself to knowing this person well. Once you begin the journey, to decide that you need to pull out or that it's too time consuming, it's really damaging for the other person. So your example that you set of someone not only who may have expertise like Joe Jonas, who's come through the music business, yes, you may have something to teach, but you're also going to need to teach what commitment looks like by setting the example. And that is so important in the life of somebody you're encouraging. So I hope even now as we're talking, you're thinking about the possibilities and what a blessing, what a reward a relationship could be that allows you to share and encourage and help somebody grow. Do you think you're the kind of person who could be a good mentor? Do you think you would learn something by this adventure? I want to circle back around again to those quotes that we had at the beginning. As you're thinking, is this for me? Listen again to those important quotes from 3 famous people and see if that sounds like a description of you. The first one comes from Maya Angelou, and she says, in order to be a mentor and an effective one, you must care. You don't have to know how many square miles are in Idaho. You don't need to know what is the chemical makeup of chemistry or the blood or water. What you need to know and care about is the person. Care about what you know and care about the person you're sharing that with. Are you the kind of person who can provide that kind of care in the life of another? Do you think that that's something that would be satisfying with you? That probably indicates that mentoring could be a great adventure. Look again at what Steven Spielberg said. Mentoring is a delicate balance, and you're not creating someone in your own image. You're giving them the opportunity to create themselves. Are you the kind of person who's really fascinated by what makes other people tick, who looks around in any gathering and sees potential in someone, who admires their ability to speak, their musical ability? You're always noticing the gifts in someone else. That would make you a great mentor. Your interest in another person, your interest in helping them realize their full potential. And let's circle back around to Joe Jonas again. He's saying a lot of people put pressure on themselves and think it will be way too hard for them to live out their dreams. But mentors are there to say, look, it's not that tough. It's not as hard as you think. Here are some guidelines and things I have gone through to get to where I am in my career. You've had those experiences in your own life. You know the lessons you learned the hard way. You know the value of being consistent, setting goals, pursuing those goals. What do you have to share with somebody else based on your own experience? What can you say about whatever it is you're passionate about that will encourage someone to think they could do it too? It's not that hard. Let me tell you how I got started. Let me encourage you. What if we walk this journey together? And I can help encourage you with a goal that you want to meet. There is something so rewarding about this experience. We have all kinds of examples in Scripture about mentoring, but Paul was a very good mentor if you've read about Paul in the New Testament and the way he could come alongside people beginning a new church in a variety of cities and help them to get started and send letters back to encourage them and pay attention to the work that they were doing. I hope you will consider mentoring as an adventure unlike any other in your life. I hope that you know you have a lot to give. You have a lot to share, and you can make a difference in somebody else's life. I hope you'll consider it, go through these steps, take a look at your expectations in advance, and know that God goes with you. This is an amazing adventure. And I look forward perhaps to hearing from some of you about your mentoring experience.